Let's talk about something no one wants to talk about. Since the inception of the smartphone and tablet, mobile apps have gone through the roof. But it's not about Angry Birds and Candy Crush. That's child's play. To become genuinely efficient, mobile business applications have to be useful to employees in the field. Most Fortune 1000 companies might have 1,000 or more internal applications accessible by the web and desktop. Yet despite the importance of getting their workforce mobilized, the average Fortune 1000 company, with the best brains and deepest pockets, has 3 mobile apps. Just 3. It's like the biggest and best car plant producing just 3 in a year. So let's finally ask why.
So when we came across this information, it was sort of pretty shocking. You know, all the noise and all the hype about mobile, and when you talk to enterprises, this is a recent IDC study, came out in May of this year, and they asked people, well, how many mobile apps are you guys planning on building? And the numbers are through the roof, because everybody can see how mobile can increase productivity and cut costs. The reality is that. So, as we all know, mobile is very attractive. Everybody sees the benefit of it. But if you go to the next slide, you'll see the reality of actually building mobile apps is very hard. Unlike sort of the previous generation of business apps, which was essentially built for one platform, now you're building multi-platform, BYOD, small real estate issues, offline issues. So how are people actually going about building these apps? Option 1 is code-oriented tools. They're very powerful, but require a lot of code, complicated, require developers if you can find them, and also prone to mistakes. The other option is the so-called no-code option, which at first sounds great, because you can build applications very rapidly. Next slide. And, you know, it sounds, well, no code, you just build rapidly. But then if you look at the next slide, you'll see we've got a problem. Everything that looks, you know, in life, anything that sounds too good to be true, unfortunately ends up being a problem, and you don't get there. The other issue, and I hope I haven't offended any vegetarians in the room here, is that business apps, by definition, are front-end. You know, it's all about the cool user interface on the front end and dealing with data, web services, security, reporting on the back end. So to build mobile enterprise apps, you've got to deal with front end and back end. And this is what happens. The poor old cow gets stuck. The apps just are not getting built. We have a clog in the system. What's the solution? If we didn't think we had a solution, we wouldn't be here. Firstly, you need a platform that deals seamlessly with the front end and the back end. Secondly, you need what we call, and now Forrester and Gartner are calling, the low-code approach, which gives you the benefit and the productivity of high speed, also the ability to drop down and code when you need to, and then also the assurance that it's got a full set of tools like role-based security, scheduling, reporting, high connectivity to different databases and web services, GIS systems, etc. You need a complete system to get the work done in the time that business needs it. That's our product, Alpha Anywhere, that we're previewing today. Okay, so now there's another real issue with offline, with mobile. If you think about it, the whole promise of offline, of mobile, excuse me, is computing anytime, anywhere. And there's a built-in assumption, and in fact this is what's recently been talking about, but there's a problem, is you don't always have connectivity. You have poor connectivity, you have intermittent, you have spotty connectivity. And in fact, Computer World just did a story also in May of this year. They called offline mobile the hottest issue in the industry. And finally, what I loved was the second quote is, suddenly the industry woke up to the reality you can't always get connected. And that's, you know, the ultimate elephant in the room. So the working assumption people have had until now, which is one of the reasons there's been this abysmal failure to get enterprise apps built, is they're assuming you're always going to have signal. They're also assuming if you have to sync, that that's easy. Turns out that that assumption is just wrong. It would be nice if it was true, but it's just not the real world. And the net effect is that people are really prevented from using mobile in business, in the real world. People flying, doctors in hospitals, they turn it off, construction workers, warehouses, all these kinds. We have situations of customers using it in mines, wanting to use it, logging data on military equipment. The real world doesn't always have connectivity. So this is the net effect. You've got this huge idea, huge investments, and the potential to have it grounded. So let's actually look at some of the data. We were surprised by this. This is a company called VDC also this year. They asked enterprises, how important is offline? 64% said it is extremely critical. 25% said very. And only 11% said it doesn't really matter. So essentially 9 out of 10 businesses expect their mobile apps to be able to work in an offline situation. So now we know how big the problem is. What are the implications cost-wise? And there's data from Wired that says typically putting offline into your app is going to increase the cost by a factor of 3. And Forrester says it's one of the most difficult challenges. Why is it difficult? Because there's issues like enterprise security and compliance. You've got to link not to some back-end new database that you've thrown into the system. You've got to link to existing enterprise data. You've got to deal intelligently with conflict resolution as opposed to some arbitrary rule about client win or server wins. The user has to control data integrity. Another factor is you've got to be able to persist the data to the local device. So if the mobile device loses signal or loses battery and you turn it off, you want to be able to restore the app to exactly where you left off. And obviously, as we've talked about, the development cost is really scary. So ultimately, what it comes down to, what do enterprises want? Very simple. They just want to build enterprise-class mobile apps where there's no time and cost penalty, zero time and cost penalty in terms of dealing with offline. And we're previewing that today. We'll officially announce it next month. That's Alpha Anywhere, and we have another video. This video is actually, the voice behind it is kind of a legendary guy, especially sitting here in the Computer Museum. Dan Bricklin is our CTO, the inventor of the original spreadsheet. So we'll hear Dan describing a quick demo of this done in Alpha. We can go to the previous slide. I have my colleague Dion doing great work here.
This demo was set to use manual synchronization. Even though the mobile devices were connected to Wi-Fi, the app is pure HTML5 running in a Chromeless browser. We start by downloading customer records as a salesperson might in the morning. When meeting with a customer, we discover that their name and phone number are listed incorrectly and update them. You can also see some of the other editing screens. All of these edits to the downloaded data are saved on the iPad awaiting synchronization, just as it would be if there was poor connectivity at the customer's site. You can check through the edits if you want, seeing the new and the original values. Now we switch to another salesperson using their Android tablet. Noticing that Elizabeth's name is not as they remember it, this person also updates the name with their recollection, and then synchronizes that change back to the corporate server. Returning to the iPad, now that it's out where there is signal, the stored data is forwarded to the corporate server, which detects the data conflict. The user is notified and can easily inspect the situation and resolve it correctly. Since Alpha Anywhere is a low-code system, the developer is in complete control of this whole process and able to add custom code as needed at just the right points for both the mobile device and the server.
So Dan has become a marketing guy. He added even offline, which is a nice slogan. So now these are just some of the customers who are using the system. We've got people like Maersk, Accenture, and others. And I just want to sort of quickly summarize, go to the next slide. So what we have here, if you just go back in the presentation, everybody, all enterprises want to take advantage of mobile for competitive and cost reasons. The reality on the ground is the number of enterprise apps actually built today is tiny. 61% of Fortune 1000 have built 3 or fewer enterprise mobile apps. We believe we have a solution because it's a low-code, highly productive product. It's a complete product, deals with front-end and back-end, and the offline capability is built right in. What you saw Dan show took just a few clicks, no coding, no tripling of the cost. The reason we're here, we want to talk to investors and strategic partners, and I want to thank you for your time and attention. Thank you. Thanks, sir.